This is it then. First 8 for the title. Either Joe Cullen returns to the winner's circle in PDC darts for the first time in 2 years, or Peter Wright continues his astonishing winning run. The German Darts Masters World Series event, yesterday's Players' Championship 19, and he's looking to add Players' Championship 20 to his collection. I'm Dan Dawson. Chris Murphy joins me for this final. It is Snakebite versus the Rockstar. They have both been playing scintillating darts, but Wright has been on another planet, especially for the last two and a half hours.
Yes, Peter Wright in particular throwing some staggering stuff this afternoon. Reeling off averages in 3 figures like they're going out of fashion.
60.
Nothing under 102.8 since his very first match today. That was the average with which he just beat Adrian Gray.
180.
7-2 in the semi-finals, the same scoreline that saw Adrian Lewis progress. Sorry, saw Joe Cullen progress
60.
against Adrian Lewis. Snakebite getting it right early on. Showing Joe Cullen what he's up against. And he is up against it if Peter Wright carries on throwing like this.
11 dart start for Peter Snakebite Wright. He has now won 27 of the last 30 legs he has played. It is a display of dominance, which I am struggling to remember a similar one, to be honest, in the Pro Tour events. I remember when Mickey Mansell played 4 games in a row and only lost, I think, 2 legs, something like that. But even Mickey, in the most purple patch of his entire career, was not averaging what Snakebite has been doing in this spell. Matt Clark, 6-0. Desvan, 6-1. Devon Peterson, 6-0. And Adrian Gray, 7-2.
60.
Just winning a leg against Snakebite right now is an incredibly difficult thing to do.
Really is. He threatened to win the match against Adrian Gray with a 9-dart finish. Threw him back-to-back 180s. That
100.
took his tally for the afternoon up to 26. Peter Wright, in fact, Joe Cullen has hit 21. The way that they're hitting 180s, you would expect there to be one in every single leg in this final at the ratio they've been producing so far today.
Well, we had one in leg 1. Here's the one for leg 2.
180.
Set your watch by them.
62.
Joe Cullen can't complete the combination check out, and Peter Wright is sharking around him, waiting to strike the blow. He loves double top this week,
Game shot.
and he hits it again to double his lead in this final, and it would be, as you mentioned, Dan, a 3rd title in the space of 5 days. Only Michael van Gerwen has ever managed anything like it. 3 in 3 days he managed here in Barnsley when we had a triple header of Players' Championship events here a couple of years ago. That actually took him to 4 in 5 days because he'd won the European Tour event the Sunday before as well.
81.
Well, Snakebite, he won the title yesterday, averaging more than 100 for the day. He comes into this final averaging an incredible 103.5 for the day. At the moment, he's set to increase that.
180.
But I don't think even Gerwin Price's double-header of victories earlier on this year would eclipse this in terms of the standard of darts he's been playing, although Cullen himself has been averaging 99, so superb stuff.
140.
We've already had the 180 for the leg, so Peter Wright didn't need to fire one in.
Yeah, they've now hit 50 between them for the afternoon.
59.
I'm not sure we'll have seen more than the amount that Peter Wright has hit in a Pro Tour afternoon before. Certainly if he carries on at this rate. Took out 61 to win the last leg. Treble 7 for double top. But he can still do it. 14. And now the top of the shop.
41.
This time he can't find it, and Cullen has a chance to cancel out that break of throw.
Does he stay there? No, he went double-double. I thought the lie was quite inviting for treble 20. I think that last dart is a mistake, but he's probably not expecting Peter Wright to miss because he's not been missing pretty much all day, all week.
Well, he can slide it inside.
Game shot.
That's exactly what he's done, and Peter Wright has a 3-leg lead. An average of 107. It's about where he's been for the last couple of hours.
Just to put that in context, 107, that's a 14 darter every single leg.
Never mind 14.
180.
We want fewer than that. We have had a 180 every leg. In fact, we've got more 180s than legs in this match.
100.
Well, he's knocked the 21 off, so simple maths from now on for Peter Wright.
41.
He's now racked up 30 maximums.
40.
But Cullen has his best chance here, or has a good chance to get a leg on the board and just halt the parade in this final.
Well, the only thing that worries him is a max, and he's not going to get it.
100.
In fact, he doesn't get the ton 40 that would have led it to a finish. So Cullen can go whatever route he wants. Treble 15, I would think. No. Well, that's the danger.
113.
A little smirk from Cullen, but he was aiming at the bullseye, and then he hit it. But he has left double 4, and Joe Cullen is... There were some stats, a year or two ago that said he was the best double 4 hitter in the world, and then when he realised that, he started missing it. But let's see.
Double 2. Wild, double 1.
No score.
No score, and Peter Wright is becoming perhaps the best double top hitter in the world, certainly in the space of the last few days. Cover shot, double 10.
Game shot.
There it is, and Peter Wright has raced into a 4-leg lead, and it is looking increasingly likely that he will pick up another title. And let's not forget that in the first part of this season, it was said that Peter Wright was on the slide.
180.
He has hit a 180 in every single leg of this final. He is averaging
40.
close to 110 for the 3rd time today. "25 PDC titles.
61.
That's the total that Peter Wright has after yesterday's victory. If he wins this match,
59.
his unbeaten run will be extended to 19 games. Sorry, 18 games, I beg your pardon. If he could extend that for another 5 after this final,
25.
he would become the World Match Play champion. And people's views about how likely he is to win at Blackpool Winter Gardens surely have shifted massively in the space of less than a week. I think Joe Cullen has done himself a lot of good in the space of an afternoon, because this is the best I've seen Joe Cullen play over an extended period, over an entire day, probably in a year, probably since last year's match play, maybe the European Championship, but certainly last year's match play.
It hasn't carried on in the final for Cullen,
Game
but
shot.
Wright hasn't let it carry on for Cullen because he has picked up where he left off. 106 average, 5-0 lead,
49.
becoming a practice game for Peter Wright.
Well, look, Joe Cullen hasn't been in a PDC final since he won his 2 titles in quick succession back in 2017. It is 2 years, and it's about time that he found himself in these situations, because he was excellent in the big TV tournaments last year, but the floor form kind of went away from him. I still can't get my head around the fact that Joe Cullen has never made a Euro Tour final. But if he carries on playing in this manner,
60.
then I firmly believe he will do. The problem that Joe Cullen had, that He hadn't capitalised when he was playing brilliantly over the last few years. And then his form seemed to go away from him at the start of this year. But this is a great sign for him. Unfortunately, he has walked in to some of the most incredible darts that we've seen over a sustained period from anyone on the Pro Tour over the last few years.
You mentioned the word dominance at the start of this final, and Michael van Gerwen has undoubtedly been the dominant force in world darts, certainly since Phil Taylor started winding down. He decides to have the week off, and you know that players think, I've got a better chance, the world number one's not here, and then Peter Wright raises his game to this kind of level and is just playing
60.
darts from another planet. Cullen has the chance here to get a leg on the board.
91.
Tees up tops. Let's not forget, Dan, that this could have all been prevented had Alan Norris hit a double earlier on this afternoon in a bizarre match where he averaged about 18 points less than Peter Wright, but had a dart to beat him.
Game shot.
Cullen lands his dart to get a leg on the board.
Yeah, well, so Alan Norris, he averaged 103 against him, more than 103. But it did go to a last leg decider. I didn't even realise that Norris had got a match dart in that one.
Well, Peter didn't hit a maximum in leg 6, the first leg where he's failed to do so. But the match has had 6 maximums in as many
100.
legs.
Oh, look out Vincent van der Voort in the first round of the World Match Play, because Peter Wright is going to go to Blackpool in the most sensational form. He has hit 6 180s now. We are in the 7th leg. And Joe Cullen, look, Adrian Lewis put him through his paces in the semi-finals, but every time AD did something good, Joe Cullen hit back with something twice as good. It is impossible to do that against Peter Wright in this form.
Back up.
105.
Yeah, it has been a remarkable run from Wright. Let's not underestimate what Cullen's done today. Beat Gerwin Price, Rob Cross and Jermaine Wattermain, and before that win against Lewis in the semi-finals. Peter Wright just unplayable, not just in this final, not just on this day, but all week.
Game shot.
And it goes on, and Peter Wright is now just 2 legs away from making a hat-trick of titles in the space of 5 days.
Look, we don't have the
125.
statistics for finishing in these Players' Championship events, but I would be fascinated and probably a little terrified to see Peter Wright on double top and double 10 over the last 48 hours here in Barnsley, because it seemingly he just does not miss.
140.
What a turnaround ahead of the big one in Blackpool. Right, hadn't won a title at all before he and Gary Anderson headed to the World Cup, representing Scotland, and the pair brought home the bacon. All of a sudden, he's going to be heading
140.
to the World Match Play with another title under his belt. 2 in as many days, 3 in the space of a week. How about a big shot to really bruise Joe Cullen here?
Another in there. Leaves double 16. This is absolute brutality. Name a player, name anyone, name Van Gerwen, name Taylor. This is right up there. What Peter Wright has done over the last, well, less than a week. It is unreal and unplayable.
78.
Well, brutal is the right word. Joe Cullen poised with a
60.
simple finish, and Peter Wright says, no way. Not today, Joe. 108 average.
140.
Another ton 40. And even when he hasn't found the third dart. I mean, how many times has he had the first 2 in the treble 20 in this match? It's been quite remarkable. Relentless stuff.
Look, Joe Cullen today, the Grand Slam champion going prize, second seed, taken out 6-2. Rob Cross, the world number 2, taken out 6-4. They're the 2 favourites, or among the 2 favourites, to come through his half in the match play draw. And Adrian Lewis, of course, who's a former finalist in the match play, he's taken care of all of them. And
41.
there's just been no answer to this man. It has been breathtaking darts from Peter Wright. It is one of the most dominant displays I've ever seen in a Pro Tour from anyone. He has won 33 of the last 37 legs he's played. He's dropped 4 in nearly 40.
171.
Super stuff from Joe Cullen, filling up the treble 19 to leave 1-3-2. Interestingly, Cullen could face the same run of games at the match play. If he beats Ian White, he could face Gerwyn Price in round 2, Rob Cross
40.
in the quarter-finals, and then Peter Wright in the semis.
And that might be that, because there has been only one outcome when Peter Wright has been left on tops over the last
75.
week, and that is he hits it and wins.
It would be fitting,
Game shot on the
because
left.
Peter Wright has been the top dog in the world of darts. A spellbinding few days for Peter Wright. 3 titles in the space of 5 days. The German Masters at the weekend, and he's followed it up with a double here in Barnsley Tuesday and Wednesday, and will head to Blackpool in a very different mood. He might have just built a bit of fear factor into many of his opponents. 105 average in the final today. Peter Wright does the double and takes the Players' Championship 20 title. And here he is talking to Dan, your champion.
I want to talk to you.
Peter, Snake
Because
by
this is a big
Wright
day for
and
you as
Joe
well.
Cullen, I believe.
Yeah, it is. Look, that's your first final on a Pro Tour for a couple of years, and you've played your best sustained spell of darts game after game that we've seen for a while. What a time to do it ahead of the match play as well.
Yeah, but Pete was irresistible there. I just said there, I was at least 1, probably 2 darts behind him every single time. There's a couple of sniffs that I had early on, but you know, I wasn't good enough in the final. I was steady all day, but Peter more than deserved the win.
Well, look, I'll come back to you in a second. Peter, I mean, that's astonishing. That's 105 average in the final, but over the whole day, it's around about 104. This is one of the most dominant wins on the Pro Tour I've seen ever.
I tried to up it from yesterday. It was 101 yesterday, wasn't it?
Well, you did up it. I mean, you must have felt better than you felt in ages.
You know, Joe's only just warming up, you know, for the match play. Look at the way he played in match play last year. So I don't blame him getting ready. And you know, he was unlucky against Gary last year, and he loves the match play. He can't wait to get there, and not got, you know. I want to be there as well. It's going to be awesome match play.
You've just won 3 titles in the space of 5 days. You've lost 4 of the last 38 legs you've played today. That is dominance. That is the best possible way to warm up for the Betfred World Match Play, isn't it?
It's just the changing of, I don't know, just changing of the point, and that just opens it up and just makes it sometime easier, but just the way it lands. And like Phil used to go in and you used to stand behind him and you think, oh, well, he ain't going to miss. And that's the way these darts go. That's the way I feel with these darts. You know, if it goes in and I don't follow it with the other 2, I'm disappointed, because it sits nice. You know,
It wasn't happening much today. Look, Joe, the match play. It was a massive tournament for you last year. You probably feel you've got unfinished business, and to go and do this today, beating the players you've beaten along the way, and you could end up facing them again at Blackpool. That's got to be a massive confidence boost for you, isn't it?
Yeah, and to be honest, it's even more pleasing because I've not practiced. I was 30 on Saturday, so me and the wife went away. I've genuinely not practiced. So you know, to come here and yesterday, last 16, I was happy with last 16. Obviously, we've not practiced in the final today, and I beat some good players, and I fancied it in the final, but Pete just smothered me early doors, and it was enough in the end. And like you just alluded to there. When his first dart went in, I was stood behind him thinking there's at least one more going in, and there's nothing more demoralising, to be honest.
Well, look, not a demoralising day in total. It may have been a demoralising experience in the final. Joe Cullen and Peter Snakebite Wright, they will be going to the Betfred World Match Play. It starts on Saturday. This man takes 3 titles in the last 5 days under his belt and has played some of the best darts we've ever seen on the Pro Tour over the last 48 hours here in here in Barnsley. PDC TV will be back after the World Match Play. It's a Pro Tour weekend in Hildesheim in Germany. These two always do well in Germany. Cannot wait. Good stuff. Thanks, lads.